Hey Scoob, you having fun? So I've been lucky enough to be staying at Nate Murphy, Mr. Van Build, and Van Life for the last few days in his beautiful hillside renovation project. And what I was really interested in is to hear from Nate about alternative living and to hear what he's got to say about that after living in different places for the last 5 years on the road and now in this restoration project.
Yeah, cool. It's great to have you. We're far away.
Right, okay. Okay, well, in terms of like alternative living, I mean, I feel that a lot of people in their kind of standard 9 to 5 jobs working in cities and stuff look to people like van lifers and look to people that are setting up properties abroad, and they ask themselves, could that be them? And what shift does it take to realise if you're that person to sort of take that on?
I think in terms of sort of van life and travel, and or just like moving abroad or living in a different place or living in a tiny house, all these things, I'm pretty sure it's like relatively accessible to everyone, because one of the big reasons for sort of alternative living is leveraging basically cheaper ways
Yep.
of living to enable like a better, more interesting life, or a life focused or centered around the passions that you have. So in that sense, it's kind of open to everyone, pretty much. Obviously, the crux part usually comes down to how people will earn money. So if you can work remotely or gig work or whatever, that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to break from the city. But if your job is really tied to a geographic area or whatever, then it does limit options. But still, you can potentially van life or find places for tiny living or manage ways to basically escape kind of sort of rent tyranny or just really, really high property prices, which kind of gets you stuck in the game.
Yeah. When you first went away, though, you didn't have a living, did you? You decided to do it. You just decided to.
I decided I wanted to focus on rock climbing. It was a passion, and I hadn't given it solid years of dedication, so I decided just to chase it.
Yeah.
With the thought in mind that maybe I probably won't come back to normal employment. So the idea was to basically go focus on the climbing, but then over that period of time have the space to look at other ways of making money or remote work or doing businesses which don't rely on being in a certain location. In the past, I've run businesses and I've had offices, and I just didn't want to go down that route before. I wanted to have a life where I'm not tied to a particular location. And the easiest way to do it is if you're going out and you're living that life and then you try and make something happen, by definition, it fits your lifestyle.
Right.
It's quite hard sometimes to make like a remote style lifestyle business or something, which fits a remote lifestyle when you live in a city, when you're always meeting people, and that's the easiest way for it to run. So it kind of creates the parameters for you.
Yeah, so because we spoke before about like when you're living in a city and you might be earning that big fat wage, but you're actually spending it all. And I know this is a tricky question, but is there is there kind of like a starting amount of money that you might want to not to buy a house, but to get yourself on the road? Like a sort of safety net, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it always pays to have a bunch of cash, basically. And to get that cash, you've got to be mindful about what you do with your money. Don't just spend it.
Yeah.
I always think whatever money you earn, you only really earn as much as you can save. So at the end of the day, if you've worked really hard in a really fancy job, earning big bucks, but at the end of the year you spent it all, and you're nothing to show for it, then well, you might as well just been living a life of beach bum.
That's right.
And end up with no money then, but had a really great life without stress.
That's what we were saying.
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, obviously, maybe you're pursuing a career, and that's really valuable to you. But in terms of getting money, I did a video recently about like a fuck off fund concept.
Yeah, I saw that.
And really that goes into actually looking at how if you have money which enables you to just leave, it's not even so much that like you should bail all the time or you should leave. It just gives you power because it always gives you the option.
Yeah.
And if you have options, then you're not compromised. You don't have to be compromised. You can always leave, and that's just generally very good for you.
But most people wouldn't actually choose the fuck off fund or the security fund. They would choose to spend that money on the new car or the big TV screen or stuff like that, wouldn't they?
I mean, yeah, and that's kind of the sort of consumer ideology that we are, really sort of indoctrinated with. That you want to have these things. New is better than old. You need to have these things. This is what will give you value is having a fancy car. And it's true. You see someone in a fancy car and a fancy suit, and you're like, "They're successful. I should probably listen to that guy."
Yeah.
Where the reality, he might be like up to his neck in debt. He might be like struggling. He might be stressed as hell, making ends meet, but like still trying to live a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You just don't know. But the value system is based on what you have, not necessarily what you do or contribute. And if you just scrap that, remove yourself from consumer ideology and see, okay, money is only a thing that can generate me freedom to things which are more valuable, and then you can kind of just like put that to bed, basically.
So say your average house in the UK, I think the average price of a house in the UK is about 300,000, not in London, but around the UK. And say, for instance, you can come to a place like Spain and pick up something for less than that. Say, I don't know, 75,000, but then you need to spend a little bit of money doing it up. So if you do it yourself, it's cheaper. If you get someone else in, maybe you get someone else in and you're in at 150. So that's half the price of being living in the UK,
average,
and the average house. And then on top of that, you get a beautiful location. You get sun, which is obviously something that we all love in the UK. But I've sort of lost my train of thought a little bit of this one, but I was thinking, how would someone actually make that jump? I mean, they might have that as a fantasy in their mind, like, oh yeah, I'd really love to do that. What a dream, to have that place.
Yeah.
But realistically, how would they actually know, if you understand that question? I know it's a bit...
If it was right for them.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things at play there. It's like how important it is for you to be near your family, or you've got a really strong friend group which you need to be around, and without them, maybe it would cause you all sorts of other types of distress. So that's an important thing. The other one is like sustainability. If it's not sustainable, you could go out there, you could do it, and then you just can't actually afford to live there, or you have to somehow replicate your life in a different place.
You did say you buy it and then you make it happen.
In terms of
when you bought
the
this
lifestyle,
place,
I mean, I bought this place. I mean, when I bought this place, I already had things going on which were making me money, and I knew that in time I can grow that. So that was less of a concern. In terms of making it happen, it's more for me. It was the renovation. It's like I don't really know how to renovate a house, but I buy it. I pull the trigger, and then inevitably it'll be finished.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I saw it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting in itself, though, because you look at these ruins around here, and they look really rustic and really interesting. The location's fantastic, but you just look at it and you think, how would you? I'd really admire you for actually just going, I'll make this work. I haven't had any building experience. I'll make this work, because I look at these ruins around here and I think I would be completely overwhelmed, and I think most people would. So where do you get that mindset from to do that?
I think part of it is in my upbringing. My family weren't like fans of hiring people to do things. So so my dad would like do stuff himself. He thatched a roof himself, because and things like that. So so yeah, I think that's like I've seen the example that you can just do it. And therefore I kind of believe that it's possible. It doesn't mean I know how to. And then it's a matter of just like, well, everything is like done by other people. So I can do it. It might not be like the most perfect, beautiful job the first time, because I have to learn in the process. Maybe it would take me a bit longer than professionals, of course. But why can't I do it? That's more thing. So why not? And I mean, obviously, there's like a lot of work. I think now I've been going probably about 8 months of full-time building, which is obviously a vast amount of work. But then at the end of the day, if it takes 10 months and, instead of doing that, it would cost me 85, 90 grand or something, then I'm being paid like 8 grand a month.
That's to do.
And I've got more money for good systems and efficient house, which in the long term is great infrastructure.
Yeah, I sort of think that obviously with the threat of like an economic downturn at the moment, people are sort of like fantasizing over van life as well. Because like if they haven't been able to buy a place,
Yeah.
then it's like we can make our house, we can make something that's our own, and live that dream in van life. And I wonder whether you'll see more people taking the chance and buying up places in cheaper areas to do. Whether they're
Oh,
actually
in terms of like abroad or
abroad, or
yeah,
even
yeah.
like in say Wales or
Yeah, yeah.
in Scotland.
I mean, quite possibly. I mean, again, it comes down to the practicalities of how they live there and if they can live there. And that's
Right,
fine.
okay, so that's
But I
really
mean, in terms of like a van,
Yeah.
like, I think it's like a van is like
The starting
really
point.
great infrastructure for being free, because if you have a van and then basically your job's getting awful, your boss is an idiot, and
Yeah.
and they're trying to compromise you or push you too far, you can just pull that trigger and say, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
like you don't need so much money. If as you know, you can live in a van for, if you're not touring endlessly, you can live very cheap, like a few €100 a month.
Yeah.
So you can kind of like go off and come back and then still live in your van, find a new job, and it gives you a lot of options. You're not tied down to having to pay rent.
Yeah.
Which is really powerful.
Which is the main thing. Yeah. Okay. So when this is all done in a couple of months' time, was it? You hopefully. What's your next plans?
I'm working on a project to do with ideas and ideology. So I want to kind of push that to a close. I need to relax a bit because I've
Yeah.
been working pretty hard.
Yeah, I got lucky actually. I got here and I thought I could see how busy Nate was from his vlogs, and I thought he's probably not going to have any time. But I got here and he'd done like 6 days of heavy like shifting and doing cement and stuff, and he was a bit tired. So I managed to get a couple of days, and we even got to do a climb. I went out to do a 5A and a 6A, and Nate being Nate, he's like, "Oh yeah, you need to do a 6C. That's what you need to do, and take more falls."
You need to be doing the 7As.
I need to be doing seven Bs now.
Whips. Yeah. Definitely. You're strong enough. You just need to just fire it up.
I'm feeling motivated. I'm feeling like a sort of a funny sort of motivating. It's like a Nate says I can do it. I've got a nickname for Nate now. It's like Nate it happen.
You definitely can do it. You just need to just don't avoid the bit you have to do.
Yeah, it's made me realise that I'm incredibly good at making excuses up.
we all are.
Yeah, you got a whole bundle of excuses there. That was interesting in itself, though, and this it's sort of a little bit off topic, but the philosophy of climbing and how you're so focused on the climb, and actually you end up making loads of excuses. Hello, Scoobs, you like that, don't you? You're standing right in front of the old camera there. Good girl. Now I've lost my thread. Now the philosophy,
excuses.
Philosophy of excuses, and with climbing, how you just come up with all these different things not to actually do the thing that you actually need to do, and really that can be put into most things in life. I think really that you sort of skirt around all these things, keep stopping and not actually hitting the main thing. And I think when you were saying that about hitting those climbs and just going for it and aiming that target and doing as much as you can physically without injuring yourself, I sort of saw that as a metaphor for life, really.
I think there's a lot of interest. Even doing like a van conversion yourself or like this house renovation, there's a lot of times where, I've got to make decisions.
Yeah.
Decisions have consequences, and you've got to but at some point, even if you don't necessarily fully know what's going to happen or what you need, you just got to pull the trigger and make that decision and then move on.
Yes.
And then, but you have this feel inside you. You just you just want to do it later, or do something else. But the way to do it fast is just to destroy your excuses, and just do it. Like, this needs to be done.
Fail fast or win fast.
Get on it. And excuse making is like a huge issue with people in general.
When I did an MBA, actually, that was what they said. They said it's fail fast. Don't expect to be winning on everything, but just fail fast, because then you will learn what you're good at and what you can do. But that takes a lot of energy, though. Not everyone's got that much energy to fail or to just keep on going
or like deal with failure. Like, a lot of people don't start things because they deep down fear that they might not do it well, or it won't be perfect, or even they just won't be able to do it at all, and then people will look at them and think that they failed. I mean, I think probably for a lot of people who might aspire to go sort of van life travel or build their own van, they'll have a lot of people around them who will just doubt them.
Yes, yeah. And I had that in mind.
Because that happens, a lot of people will maybe, and all the people doubters, all they're doing is projecting their own fears.
That's right. That's right.
It's like, you know, if someone's saying, "Oh, I don't know if you do that," it's like, you mean you don't think you can do that?
There it
you
is,
ain't me,
right there.
right? And you'll get that all the time. And anything you kind of strive to do, anything that you set out that you're like, oh, I think I'm going to do this, and you kind of talk to people about it, like as soon as you socialize it, now there's like this social pressure expectation, and people come back, oh, how's that going? Like, and even if it's gone badly, it's self-validate why they never tried.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So they feel kind of good about that. They didn't realize why they feel good about it, because they might like you as a good friend, but at the same time, they're like, you know, I was right. Shouldn't have done that. Shouldn't have tried. And then for you, you might feel really bad because you've got this social thing of like, oh, I failed and everyone knows about it. Whereas like, if you can, it's like dating, you know, or like in a bar, you know, you like chat to a couple of women or something, and then like you get shut down, and you could just leave it at that, and
I would.
or you get over it and you just move on, and like if you with your projects or the things you want to do, you just got to like fail and just be like, well, whatever. It's like, I failed at so many things, I don't even care anymore. Not deeply.
So one of the things you're going to be doing when you open this up is open up a motivational camp.
I do want to make sort of like more think-based videos. And like I've sort of, our vlog's gone very buildy, which is, I see it as like almost like a form of endurance for our viewers. This is like, you know, I'm suffering, you can suffer. But like, no, I need to kind of come back to kind of a bit more think stuff and a bit more like. Well,
I've heard some of the ideas. I won't say what they are now, but I've heard some of the ideas that Day and why has my brain gone blank? Sorry, I'll edit that out. I've heard some of the ideas that both Day and Nate have been talking about in their Think stuff, and I think it sounds really interesting, and I wish them the best for that, because I think that there's certainly things that I'll be tuning into to find out how they execute those ideas that I think will get people thinking. The whole idea of it calling Think. I feel like thinking about all the possible options you have and thinking about why you make decisions for your life, or it's philosophy. I think it's like a underrated thing that most people could gain a lot from. It's not really taught well in schools. People aren't taught to think critically about everything that happens in their lives, and the end result is people tend to go with the social norms and the social flow, because it's very powerful socialization. But you see, and not necessarily be happy in the end result. If they were taught that, though, is there not a worry that you're opening a can of worms?
In what way?
Well, not in a negative way. Maybe can of worms is the wrong sentence, but you're opening a Pandora's box. That's a better way of putting it.
But in what way would that be negative, or could be negative?
Well, because sometimes when you think too much, you don't actually get on and do stuff. So with yourself, you know, you're someone that just gets on and do stuff, and that's very much like, you know, make it happen. But a lot of people that think a lot don't actually do a lot. They don't actually get on with anything. You know, so they might have really good ways of identifying and extrapolating, you know, a wide theory on something. And you can have a really good conversation with them, but but they
don't live it. I mean, I guess really, if you've examined your life and you're like, this isn't very good, and you have the ability to change it, but you don't, like, then your philosophy's broken. Like, because if you really believe that this will lead you to a more fulfilled life or a more meaningful existence, and you can't be bothered, or it's like difficult, then there's other parts of your philosophy. Like this is, I was talking about the other day, is like hard decisions, easy life.
Yes, I like that one actually. Do you want to explain that one?
It's a great saying. I don't know where I come across it, but I think it's genius. It's like hard decisions, easy life, or easy decisions, hard life. And everyone in their life every day has decisions to make. Do I do this? Do I do some work? Do I do whatever? Do I call my family? Do I invest in my relationship? Do I get rid of my relationship? All of these things is like, there's lots of things where you can take the easy decision, you could avoid conflict, you could avoid talking about things, but the end result is a harder life. Or you can take the hard decision, like, okay, this job is unfulfilling, I'm not happy, get rid of the job, move on. It's a hard decision. This city isn't working for me, this house is rubbish, my relationship is bad, get rid of it and move on in a sensible, managed way. But then but these are all hard decisions. But the end result is you have an easier life. It's like a little spike of pain, but much smoother sailing in the long term, much less drama.
Yeah.
So I think that's hard decisions in life. So if someone's got this philosophy and they realize that they need to do it, but they're taking the easy decision of not making changes, then they have to accept their life will be harder.
Yeah.
They will suffer greater in other ways through not feeling fulfilled,
Yeah.
not feeling happy with their life, not feeling content, not happy with a relationship, or all of the millions of ways that could
And
unfold.
I think that particular sentence could be a vlog in itself.
Yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
think there's,
It
I
probably
think,
will be.
yeah, I think that's just brilliant actually, and it's kind of simple, but you have to. It's simple, but you don't. It's not simple until you actually think about it. You know what I mean? You go, well, actually, that's right. You know, you
Easy
are.
decision, eat too much.
Yeah.
The result,
Yeah.
you suffer in other ways. Like, it's lots and lots of, I mean, there's some things which you could just say, like, they're not much or small, but I think there's a lot of things where if you look into your big life decisions, do you make a change when you kind of deep down know, or even if you studied it, like the people who do their study and thinking and they realize and they're like, oh, but they don't walk for walk.
Yeah.
If they've just got to just understand that it's going to be harder in the long term. And the thing is, if you have to take risks, and sometimes those risks might not pay off, and maybe your life isn't as comfortable.
Yeah.
But comfort is not the same as having an easier life. I feel like comfort is it's like a bit of a trap. I mean, you were saying this the other day, the sort of rabbit's fur or whatever.
That's right, in the rabbit's fur.
Maybe
Yeah,
explain
that. Well, the rabbit's fur is from the book Jostin Gardner. I'm just going to turn up the light on here because I'm a bit worried that was dark.